The hour is 7 p.m. Having arrived, I'll call to order this regular meeting of Keene City Council. The meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene. It's on. Okay. The meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene YouTube channel. It's Spectrum 1302. The video is also streamed on the city's website and is posted by the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. If you'd like to receive an electronic City Council packet for to reference while viewing future broadcasts, please contact the City Clerk's office during regular business hours or go to the city's website and subscribe to the city meetings email list. The agenda is also accessible by any mobile device. Ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Brian J. Lake.
Here.
Michael J. Remy.
Here.
Gladys Johnson.
Here.
Michael Giacomo.
Here.
Randy L. Filio.
Here.
Robert C. Williams.
Here.
Philip M. Jones.
Here.
Andrew M. Madison.
Here.
Chrissy Roberts.
Here.
Raleigh C. Omerod.
Here.
Bettina A. Chadbourne.
Here.
Catherine I. Workman.
Here.
Mitchell A.
Here.
Greenwald. And Kate M. Bosley.
Here.
Finally, Thomas F. Powers.
Here.
Thank you very much. I'd ask that Councilor Williams please lead us in the pledge. All right, regarding the minutes of our previous meeting, I'd accept a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Bosley, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to accept the minutes of the July 6, 2023 City Council meeting as presented.
Second.
And we have motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Bosley. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All is in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Just a few announcements. Michael Remy, Councilor Michael Remy had a birthday on July 17th. And then I want to remind the council and people watching from home or in the public viewing area that the filing period for the municipal elections is going to begin on August 16th at 8 a.m. Candidates can pay the filing fee and complete a declaration of candidacy, but they could also file by petition by collecting the signatures of 50 registered voters to get their name on the ballot. The filing period for declaration ends on September 5th at 5 p.m. The filing period for petitions runs until September 8th at 5 p.m. Anyone wishing to run for office must be duly qualified, a registered voter in the ward or district they want to represent. Filings will be accepted by the city clerk's office for mayor, ward councilor, councilor at large, and the various election official positions. Filing forms will be available on the city's website, along with a summary of the responsibilities of the different election official positions. The city clerk's also happy to talk to anybody who has questions about these positions, and I will speak for the whole council and myself. I think we're all willing to talk to anybody that's interested in running for office here in the city of Keene. We have at least one person who's not running again, and we need some new people to step up. So I'm hopeful that they will do that. And Councilor Jones, I guess you have an announcement as well this evening.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to let the council know sometimes how important something you think is minuscule can be an important vote. If you remember a couple months ago, we voted to allow the Civil Air Patrol to put up equipment and a repeater on city property. Well, during the floods in the past 2 weeks, FEMA contacted the Civil Air Patrol, and we had airplanes out spotting the fragile areas all over Vermont and New Hampshire. There were 3 planes from New Hampshire, there were 2 planes from Vermont, and 6 from New Jersey, scouring the area, all using the repeater that we allowed to go in. And because of that, there was a lot of damage and maybe some injuries that were prevented. FEMA was able to get there right away. I saw the pictures. It's magnificent how you can see it, and it automatically transfers the measurements, the aviation coordinates over to the geographic coordinates, because I think one uses, in longitude and latitude, they use minutes, and the other one uses a decimal system, and it automatically transfers it over. So thanks to us putting up that repeater, there's a lot of incidents that could have happened that were prevented. So thanks for your vote.
That's great. Thank you. All right, finally, so this is our last meeting before the summer break. There will not be any standing committee meetings between now and August 17th. And on the 17th, there will be a site visit and a public hearing. And the clerk's going to notify you with a reminder of that site visit a few days beforehand. And that's it. So at this time, I'd invite Cody Morrison from Monadnock Economic Development Corp. to step up to the microphone. I'd note that I'm no longer the board chair for MEDC. That responsibility's been handed on to somebody else. And I still am a board member, but I didn't have anything to do with him coming and presenting tonight.
Right. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, councilors, and thank you to the community for allowing me the opportunity to come and speak before you all tonight. The purpose of my visit tonight is to inform the community of how the Monadnock Economic Development Corporation can partner with the City of Keene and its businesses and its residents to just help overall community and economic development. While we are in regular contact with local officials on an individual or one-on-one basis for various initiatives, we felt it'd be appropriate to come and give a presentation to the mayor and council at large and the community. And as Mayor Hansel had noted, my name is Cody Morrison, the Executive Director of Monadnock Economic Development Corporation, also a Ward 2 resident. We were able to purchase a home in Keene last year, and we love the community so far. With that, many of you are familiar with our work, but for those who aren't, we just want to give a quick bit of context. We are one of 9 nonprofit regional development corporations in the state of New Hampshire. We represent about 41 towns in southwestern New Hampshire. And in our most current form, we're founded in 1985, originally as the Keene Industrial Development Corporation. About 25 years, we expanded our scope to look beyond Keene, and we changed to where we are now MEDC. And we've worked with businesses, worked with municipalities, nonprofits, entrepreneurs, philanthropists, and everybody in between to help achieve our mission of essentially helping grow the regional economy and improving lives. So throughout our history, we have worked we've really worked a lot in the real estate development, business lending, and programming aspects in pursuit of that mission. We've helped over 80 different organizations on deals or various transactions. We've built over 1 million square feet in new construction, and our projects represent about 10% of Keene's property tax base. And some of the projects that we've done in the past, many community residents will be familiar with some of those projects. Keene Ice, most recently the Heberton Hall or Keene Public Library expansion. We've also done various projects outside of Keene as well. WS Badger over in Gilsum, Abtech over in Fitzwilliam. Our current project right now is the Alice Peck Day Hospital up in Lebanon. And how we've done that is we've worked to really provide lower costs and increased flexibility for some of those developments, whether providing direct financing or accessing tax credits or grants or making the partnerships necessary to make some of these things happen. On the latter part, on the lending portion, we have worked as a gap lender, so we work with many of the banks around here to help businesses, nonprofits, schools be able to access funding if they need to. If they need a little bit of money to make an expansion happen, we've been able to come in as a lender and been able to essentially close that gap. So those activities are traditionally what we've been known for. Over the last few years, we have been in a bit of a transition right now where we've adopted a new business plan and really new way of fulfilling our mission. I was during 2020 to 2021, we went through a transition where we hired a strategic planner, and we had him for about a year that was able to help us craft basically a new business model, and a new strategic plan. And then about a year ago last week, I was brought on board and began the role here at MEDC. And then in the fall, we approved the new strategic plan. We brought on a few new board members. And then this year, we started seeing the fruits of some of our labor start to come into fruition. In May, we received a $1 million award from the Environmental Protection Agency for a new brownfields program. We also received about $500,000 in tax credits to advance childcare and grow childcare accessibility here in the region. We're always looking for new programs to be able to come on board. We've been in contact with city officials on various opportunities that are available through the federal government to bring things here from housing rehab and other areas. So two of the new programs that we are working on here is childcare and brownfields. We're launching what's called the Bringing It Home Project. So that is a home-based childcare kind of startup or expansion program. So essentially, we're going to be working with people that want to run childcare centers out of their homes. And we'll be giving them training, and we'll be giving them business consulting and licensure consulting and funding for housing rehab. Childcare is a crisis throughout the state, throughout the region. So this is an innovative way that we see as one that we can use to be able to put in some centers and kind of encourage some new providers to open in different parts of the region, maybe communities that don't have as much access to commercial real estate. And right here in Keene as well. We have a cohort that is meeting right now, actually, that's begun this process. We have, I think, 2 families are from Keene. So if this, when this program is successful, we'll have hopefully a few new home-based childcare providers right here in Keene. So our goal is to create 60 to 120 new slots by 2025. It won't involve the municipality as much kind of in the pursuit of that. It's more of a private, nonprofit, or provider aspect, but I think it's one that's important to let the community know about. One that probably would be of more interest to the municipality would be our Brownfields program. So we were awarded one of 10 $1 million grants from the Environmental Protection Agency to launch a Brownfields loan and grant program. So essentially what that will do is it'll help clean hazardous waste sites or contaminated sites that are being prepped for development. The Kingsbury site is probably the most notable example of that right here in Keene. So what this would do is give MEDC grant funding to be able to grant to a nonprofit or a municipality that is looking to clean up a site, or low-interest capital to any private developer. So while this does not, single-handedly does not develop one property itself, it moves the needle in the right direction. It's another tool that we have in our toolbox to be able to meet the needs and wants of communities, of property owners, and everybody else in between. So essentially, MEDC's direction is really highlighted by the onboarding of these 2 new programs towards the end of the year. We are looking at diversifying the way that we do community and economic development here in the region, and we are doing what we can to keep doing what we've been doing in the past and what we are known for, while trying to look at new ways, bring on new programs, form new partnerships. With our childcare program, that's something that probably might not have been on our radar 5 years ago, but now we're partnering with Hannah Grimes, the United Way, with Keene State College, the Charitable Foundation to help make that happen. So we're excited for the new direction, and we're very excited to work with the municipality and the community moving forward. So with that, I will open it up for any questions, but I appreciate you all giving me the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you, Cody. Any questions? Councilor Ormerod?
Thank you. I was particularly interested in your child care program, and you have 2 so far in Keene?
We have 2 families I know that are going through a cohort right now that are they're meeting probably about quarterly right now. We have a child care resource group. This program looks to create basically a network.
And is there a minimum house size or lot size required for them to run a daycare?
So those are some of the details we're still working out. It's really going to be based off of licensure. So if there is something maybe in the 500 square foot range, that's something we'd be able to look at certainly as well. Or we would defer to the state statute or any local regulations on that. But if there's something under 1,000 feet, there's certainly opportunity to be able to work with a family.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? All right. Well, thank you very much, Cody. Really appreciate it. And some good work.
Thank you.
So that brings us to communications, number 1.
This is a communication from a motorcycle club called Red Knights International, and they're going to be holding a motorcycle rally in Keene in 2024, and they are looking for the city to consider a parking voucher system for their attendees.
This will be referred to the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee, and we'll take the rest of these communications about downtown together.
So we start off with a communication from Walter Lacey. He's raising a concern about the placement of bike lanes in the downtown reconstruction plans. A letter from Ken Coast, he's urging inclusion of Green Street elements in the downtown reconstruction plans. Dixie Gurian is talking or requesting that we leave as many of the trees as possible intact when designing the reconstruction of our project. And finally, Roger Weinrich is encouraging the council to consider some aspects of Jeff Speck's presentation. And he is also speaking to a recent communication about the fundraising book sales that occurred with Mr. Speck's presentation, and offering to reimburse the city $21.76 in book royalties that Mr. Speck received.
All right, and we'll accept those communications as informational, which brings us to council committee reports, number 1.
Municipal Services Facility and Infrastructure Committee report relative to a request for a water abatement and a fee waiver. This is for property located at 251 Park Avenue. On a vote of 5-0, the Municipal Services Facility and Infrastructure Committee recommends the request for the abatement and the fee waiver from John Sosnowski be denied.
Council Greenwald for a motion, Councilor Filio for a second, please.
Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Motion from Councilor Greenwald, seconded by Councilor Filio. Councilor Greenwald.
Thank you. Well, the resident came to us with a request that his water bill be abated, and this is allowed in city code. He has already spoken, or through his agent, spoken with the Public Works Department, who did a check of the water meter and also spoke with him and some analysis. And the water meter checked out okay. That's a very important thing. But ultimately, the bottom line, and it's cold and terrible, but if the water goes through the meter, it doesn't matter what happens after that, you have to pay for it. It's a utility fund, and all the consumers of the water share in the cost. So whether it's going out on his lawn, an inadvertent running toilet, or what have you, you have to pay for it. Again, the water meter was inspected, checked, and confirmed. Unfortunately, the individual did not show up at the committee meeting. Missed the first one. We put him on more time. Missed the second one. So basically, I believe it would be the same answer anyway. He just didn't get it directly from us. But the committee recommends a denial of the abatement.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous. Number 2.
Showtime.
Municipal Services Facility and Infrastructure Committee report relative to the downtown infrastructure improvement and reconstruction project. On a vote of 5-0, the Municipal Services Facility and Infrastructure Committee recommends the City Council adopt Concept C multi-lane hybrid option as the design option for the downtown infrastructure improvement and reconstruction project.
I'm looking for a motion from Councilor Greenwald, seconded by Councilor Filio, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to carry out the intention of the committee report.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Greenwald, seconded by Councilor Filio. Councilor Greenwald.
Thank you. Well, I'll give you a little background. This is going to be a little long, so it's only front and back. It's not that long. The MSFI committee met and discussed the item that was referred in the last council meeting. City attorney had clarified that the discussion and comments from the public would concern the hybrid concept. Committee discussed and heard comments from the public. This was great. The public was allowed to speak. We heard speakers in favor and opposed to bike lanes, speakers concerned about tree and plant removal, speakers concerned about the removal of the Central Square slip lane, speakers concerned about the removal of the U-turn at the flagpole. As part of our directions, no amendments were allowed at that meeting. We were told this is the place for the amendments. And the committee unanimously voted to move the hybrid concept to this meeting. I want to say I have never seen such interest and passion in an issue in all the years I've been here, and it's more than a few, The public has sent us countless emails, and apologies to members of the public if any of us did not respond personally to all of them, because there were just so many. And all the people that attended the meetings, and all those that are here now. So now some thoughts of my own. The MSFI approved recommendation for a plan that essentially replaces the underground plumbing and replaces the surface with the configuration that we currently have somehow got lost in all the procedural manipulations that have occurred. The council workshop and what have you. The workshop that was called included procedure that, though legal as according to the mayor and city attorney, allowed voting by the council. Fortunately, Councilor Workman, in her motion, stated that the discussion be sent back to MSFI for review and discussion, or the public would have been locked out of the discussion. So regarding the hybrid concept, again, I'm talking here, I have some serious concerns regarding the safety issues concerning the bike lanes and pedestrians. I've said this consistently. Although we have been told that trees and plantings are issues for the final design, I have serious concern about the loss of trees. I'm sorry, I do not really feel confident we're going to see everything coming back. We have been told that the slip lane and U-turn at Central Square, again, are issues for final design. I'm worried that it's not going to happen. So because of all of these issues, and being responsive to the majority of residents of the city of Keene, I move to amend the committee report to recommend that the concept approved by the MSFI committee, I don't know if it was June or May at this point, be approved as the recommended concept.
Second. All right, so we have a motion to amend from Councilor Greenwald, seconded by Councilor Filio. I'm going to ask that the other councils not amend amendments, so we can see each amendment through to a vote, if that's all
I'm
right.
certain this will pass, so don't worry. Anyway, I'm not. Okay, I've already stated two of my concerns. I take this really, really seriously, and I guess I have the passion for downtown, the history and what's out there and the concern for the city. I'm not up for re-election. I don't really care. This is what I care about, and that is how I'm going to put this. I want to talk about the positives, the strengths of what we have out there. I was there back in the 80s when that plan was put together, and there were reasons for it the way it is. What is out there maximizes trees, it maximizes green space, and that's part of the allure of downtown Keene. We have been told that there is a loss of 61 trees that may be replanted, but I want to recount that a second. There have been 10 to 15 or more trees that have disappeared overnight. I mean, literally, they're gone and vacuumed up before anyone notices. There are a lot of trees missing and already cut. The jut-out peninsulas that are out there are traffic calming safety zones for pedestrians. Parking in the center of the street is a traffic calming. It's not there accidentally. Professionals designed what we have out there. Maybe we got it right. Without it, I am concerned Main Street is going to be a shopping center look or a drag strip. You know, literally, you start off at Marlborough Street and zoom, you're out there. You need the traffic calming, and I'm concerned about that. The MSFI plan does allow for modifications, minor modifications and shaping, but not a major upheaval like this. Please believe that traffic engineers and landscape consultants designed this current configuration. A lot of planning went into it. It solved a lot of the issues, and I'm concerned that if the hybrid concept is built, we'll get the issues back. Bottom line, we got to do what the majority of residents want. Not what we want, not what we think, not some glassy-eyed vision of the future. This is what the public wants. They like what we have. Do not make change for the sake of change or because we're progressive. I hope I got enough of you listening. It's early enough in the meeting, so I am definitely serious about all this. I'm doing what I feel is best for the city of Keene. I'm not going to sing, but in the words of Joni Mitchell, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Thank you.
You
All right, I'm gonna ask not gonna have any, no uppers from the crowd, please.
Why
You have to let the council debate and not feel intimidated, that's why not. Counselor Johnson.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate what the MSFI have done. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, my dear friend, is that the trees that are missing, there were 15 trees that were sick or destroyed. So that's probably, that's my thinking, that's where they went.
Yeah,
So they don't affect other trees.
they need to come back.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Counselor Giacomo.
Thank you, Your Honor. Probably not the last time you hear from me tonight. First of all, I do respect what the people back in the 1980s were doing, what they were thinking when they were putting in the Main Street we have right now. And it's a good thing that nobody speeds on it now. And nobody flies up the left-hand lane and swerves over. It's a good thing that there's no accidents on it. It's a good thing that we have all these calming measures because Main Street is such a calm place to go and sit out on the patio and watch, eat your dinner on. I just don't buy it. I think traffic engineering since the 1980s has come a ways. And I believe that we have, these advances in the industry have enabled us to have more insight into what works and what doesn't work, and the world has changed, and it will continue to change. And if we don't try to design something for those changes and try to anticipate, I mean, I completely agree with Councilor Greenwald that it is a little bit glassy-eyed at times. We have to try to pretend like we can see the future, but that literally is our job here. That is our job as councilors, to try to do what is best for Keens' future. So we can't promise we know what's happening, but we have to try to do something that is actually looking for that future. And I do believe that encouraging multimodal transportation more than we have right now is part of that future.
Anyone else? Counselor Filio.
Yeah, obviously, I'm going to agree with Councilor Greenwald here. And I will say that this, compromise plan is way better than the original plan that virtually had no city support, and we wasted a year on it. But with that said, this is where we're at. The reason that I'm agreeing with Councilor Greenwald and going back to the recommendation MSFI originally made is because that's what our constituents are asking for. We can say, we look for the future, this is our job. Our job is to listen to our constituents. Now, I hope this election year, when people are out, when they come up to you and you say, I'm not going to listen to you. Because that isn't what we say every time there's an election year. It's like, oh, yes, I'm going to listen, I care. Then the vote comes up and it's like, well, we know better than they do. This is the plan that, Councilor Greenwald, the amendment, this is the plan that our constituents want, overwhelmingly. Now, I know some will say, well, you can't prove it's overwhelmingly. Well, that's because you didn't allow me to send it to a vote to the voters. Because if you had, we would have seen the truth. And the truth is, an overwhelming majority favor minimal changes. And we never said coming out of MSFI originally, no changes, because I've heard that. Oh, you're over 50 and you're afraid of change. Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of people over 50 on this council that have voted and made a lot of change in the city, and we're not afraid to make more changes. But change for the sake of change, so we can say we did something, is irresponsible. We have a pretty damn good downtown right now. Yep, needs tweaks, needs new lights, needs some new lanes, needs some minor modifications. But we don't have to tear up the whole damn thing with a project that works. So once again, all I'm asking you to do is do what Councilor Greenwald and I are doing, listen to the majority of the citizens of the city, because they're the ones that put us here.
All right. Anyone else? Counselor Ormerod.
Thank you, Mayor Hansel. I disagree that with my fellow councilors who claim that the majority of the city wants no change whatsoever. I do agree that we need to think for the future, not for the past 40 years. I am not in support of this new amendment, and I believe we need to carry forward. I have heard as many people coming to me, begging me for progress, begging me to try a solution that has bike lanes, begging me to find a way so that we could be an inviting place and a place that they can safely bring their families and enjoy our downtown. So, no, there's no scientific plan, there's no proof that it's the majority, and I have heard equal reasons on both sides of the argument, and I've got to vote for the people who cannot speak, the people who are going to be here for the next 50 years, that we need to move forward to where we started 2 weeks ago, not go backwards because we're afraid to do the right thing.
Anyone else on the amendment? Yep, Council Workman.
Thank you, Your Honor. With all due respect, I disagree with Counselor Filio and Counselor Greenwald to say that we're not listening to constituents because we don't agree with the MSFI recommendation is just a misrepresentation of facts. I have listened to countless constituents. I've met with anyone who asked for a meeting. I've met with them. I've listened to differing opinions. I've listened to all opinions and all voices. So to say that we're not listening to a quote-unquote majority, you must be living in an echo chamber because I haven't been hearing that. I wouldn't say that there is a majority. I've heard from many people who would like no changes. The multi-lane hybrid model, I've said it again, this is probably the third time in recent meetings that I've said it. The hybrid multi-lane model gives everyone a little bit of what they want, and it plans for future needs. It anticipates our growth of our city, our changing needs, at a pace that is acceptable to most people. So I will not be voting for this amendment.
Further discussion on the amendment? Counselor Jones?
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to point out to the council in our master plan from 2010, page 47.
Is your mic on?
I'm sorry. Speaking to our master plan, page 47, under the plan, it says, Central Square is one of the top 10 great public spaces. This is from the American Planning Association, APA, announced that Central Square has designated one of the top great public spaces for 2009 by the APA's Great Places in America's program. It goes on, I'm not going to read the whole page, but I think everyone should take a gander at page 47 of our master plan. I also have our City of Keene Economic Development Action Plan from February 2017, which some of you sat on that committee. And I'll just briefly refer to the part on downtown economic vitality. Keene's downtown is an important community asset that has become part of the community's national identity. And it goes on to explain how important Central Square is and the national identity. And I'm wondering, we have these accolades, why would we change this? We can take the motion that Councilor Greenwald made, and we could work with that. From there, we could go different places. The last 2 MSFI meetings and 2 council meetings reminded me of going to a restaurant and they give you a menu without pricing on it. You just see all the side dishes and add, yeah, that sounds good, that sounds good, that sounds good, let's add it on. We don't know what we want. We don't know where the money's coming from. We know there's, in the CIP, there's $7.5 million that we've allotted, but other than that, we don't know if we're getting any grants. We don't know what parts of the city fit into the TIF district. We don't know if we're gonna have to use, what the rates are for borrowing. There's a lot of unknowns. And I think Councilor Greenwald's motion brings us back to where we can piece that puzzle together. And yes, maybe we can put certain things in that people want, but I believe taking that effect and piecemealing it together makes a much more better, safer approach than instead of the public being all over the place on all different matters of the project, then we can discuss the matters one at a time. We could take that menu in and discuss, do we want the squash? Do we want the mashed potatoes? You know, do we, and so on, and know the price of them. I think that's the way to do it. Thank you.
Further discussion on the amendment? Counselor Roberts?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm not going to support the amendment. The reason I'm not going to support the amendment, a couple of reasons. Well, if we want to be honest, a good 90 to 95% of the people in Keene do not care what happens downtown. They don't come downtown. There's nothing much downtown to attract them to come downtown. Okay? One of the things that we talked about and some of the individuals talked about was the ability for people to walk downtown. Our priority is to be a walkable city. Okay? Unless, and I stated before, you can go down past Margaritas to one way, to the other way, no problem at all. If I want to walk here and I go by the old Keene Savings Bank and there's benches out there, only one group of us can go by. We have to step aside. What we have done, we've expanded restaurants out, and what we've gone is against our primary objective to be a walkable city. Okay? So we've got to be a walkable city. You got to have the plants. You got to have the trees. You got to make it attractive and walkable. Okay? Doing nothing does not make it walkable. Okay? When people go and say, well, it's our job to listen to what the people say. Well, if that's your opinion, you should not be in a leadership position. It is our job to take people's advice. Our job is to take the advice and knowledge of experts and put it all together. And if you're in leadership, you make the right, what you think is the best decision at that time with the information that you have. That isn't always nice. That isn't always possible. You make a decision, people are going to hate you. That's why we have ineffective government around the country, because we have people in leadership positions who don't want to be offended. Well, sometimes we got to go and say, this is why we're not doing it, because this is why we're not doing it. And that's our job, to research it. We're not here to make decisions based on a poll. Okay? And the third part is, yes, when I was here going to school in the 1970s, Keene, head downtown. You could get away with a lot of things. You could drag race up in downtown. I won't say I didn't do it in my Chevrolet Super Sport, but it was really nice for a college student. Okay? So the people of that time says, that's really kind of dangerous, and you got around and you changed it, and that thing, it worked for 40 years. It wasn't an old wholesale change. There was modifications. Okay? We need modifications going forward, not a wholesale change, not something that's going to change the character of downtown, but you got to make it a little bit safer. You got to be able to want to attract people downtown, and otherwise, you're just going to have the same people downtown eating their bagels at 6 o'clock Monday through Friday, a different group working on Saturday, different groups having their beers on Thursday and Friday. Those are regular customers, and they're going to get old and they're going to die. then what do then? We have to do something to attract a younger crowd that is going to be replacing us older people that are going to die. I'm going to be 69 years old next month. I'm not going to be around much longer. So I walk downtown to go to Co-op or go to Fritz. I need to be replaced, and that's what you have to do for downtown.
Thank you. Councilor Mosley.
So just briefly, I want to follow up on a lot of what was said. But one of the things that I'd like to point out, I'm not in support of the amendment. I think that the hybrid model with the expanded sidewalk space gives us what I have heard that we really want. We want accessible sidewalks that are ADA compliant. We want to be able to have someone who has a disability in a stroller to be able to pass by each other on those sidewalks. We don't want to lose any of our sidewalk cafes. I haven't heard a single counselor or anyone from the public say that they would like to see us do away with the sidewalk space that's been allocated for restaurants to be out on the street right now. But what has happened is through those street allocations, we've reduced those sidewalk widths. And I do, outside of this project, get letters regularly from constituents who are complaining about the widths of the passable sidewalk space. And we need to do something to address that. I do think what I hear the public's concern about is not whether or not we go back to the MSFI recommendation, but it's about whether or not we have bike lanes on those streets. And there's a lot of questions about how we could manage that and what that would look like. And I'm sure that this is not going to be the first amendment we're going to hear this evening, and we can address each one in its due course. But as far as what we're discussing right now and going back to MSFI, I think it takes away all of those small modifications that we've agreed are the most important things for our community.
Further discussion? Anyone for the first time? Councilor Filio.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Just briefly wanted to follow up on a couple of comments that were made. One, I respectfully disagree with what Councilor Roberts said. I feel 95% of Keene residents absolutely care about downtown and love downtown greatly. Might be 5% out there don't care, but based on the people that have been calling us over the past year, I would say 95% care greatly, and that's why we've been so inundated. And one thing all 15 of us can agree on is, man, we're tired as hell. But that's why I wanted to go with the amendment. I want to do it right. I know sometimes when we get tired, we don't do the right thing because we're tired. We want to be done with it. We want to move on. I think if we don't vote in this amendment, I think we're just tired and we're going with the wrong recommendation. But once again, I heard a couple of comments. Well, I've heard more people want this and more people want that. And I'll repeat myself. That's why I said send it to a vote to the voters. There wouldn't be any hearsay. We would find out exactly what the voters say. We would find out the truth. But as Jack Nicholson once said, the truth, you can't handle the truth.
All right, anyone else on the amendment? Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I value the comments that I've heard from our various counselors. I respect you all. It's wonderful working in here with you all. We sort of are all playing in our sandbox and trying to figure out how to build our castles. I cannot support the amendment because I have listened to a lot of younger folks, and like my colleague who said he's not going to be here very long, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. We're not spring chickens. But we have hearts that say, I care about what's going on in the future. And something that I've cautioned myself against is not listening to so many naysayers. It's real easy to say what doesn't work. And from my experience as a professor and as a choral leader, naysayers kind of can pull you back. We need to move forward. And I don't think we're changing so much. I believe, my dear friend Mitch, is those trees are going to go back. I heard the gentleman say, we will get them back in. They might be just in a little different place. I have faith in that. We've spent money for all this. Excuse my back. You know, we've thought about all this, and even I completely understand all those diagrams, which makes me feel good, because there has been so much interaction among us. So that's my answer. Thank you.
All right, further discussion on the amendment. Yes, Counselor Chadbourne.
Feisty topic, isn't it? Initially, I was in favor of keeping it the same way, and lots of people were writing or contacting me, talking to me about it. And then I started hearing from the other side, and all of a sudden, lots and lots of people were talking to me from that side. And what I realized is that I just needed to remain open to all of it. And I feel like what we're doing tonight is we're choosing a base. And then from that, we can build and we can fight for the things that are essential to the heart and soul of downtown. Whether, for me, it's trees and plantings and wide space to walk on the street and to feel, on the sidewalk and to feel safe. But I have heard other people talking about how important bikes are. And I mean, for me, it's a couple of blocks. It's okay, even as a cyclist, to get off and walk those 2 blocks. But if you start thinking in terms of it's as a mode of transportation, that people use it to run errands, people use it to go to work, people use their bikes. And where are they now? We don't see that many bikes on downtown area. Is it that we really don't have that many bikes, or is it that because they don't feel comfortable riding downtown? I don't know. And at the end of the day, we could end up choosing not to even have the bike paths in there. But we need a base, we need a place to start, and we need something that, honors and celebrates the past and looks to the future and looks to what kind of community we're creating based on the future. And the future includes climate change, which I know is a hard thing to wrap your head around, but it's real and it's affecting us. And it's going to affect us in much, much bigger ways. So I will fight for the things that once that we make a decision on this base, the things that are important, like the aesthetic feel of downtown and still feeling like you're under this canopy of trees and there's a quality of life aspect to it. I will fight for those things, but I think that we need to blend saving our past and weave it in with our future. And so I do support the multi-lane hybrid.
All right, any other discussion on the amendment? Counselor Greenwald.
Final thought. Not really good at math, you understand, but I can see where this is headed. We have this expression in City Council, the hill to die on. I now know my hill. So I thank you all for listening to me. I hope when this goes to the next stage of final design, there's more success on council input. I have a lot of concern about that. This is a staff-driven and consultant-driven project right now. So get in the game, guys. If you want trees, you better speak really loudly for them, or anything else that you want. So with that in mind, I'd like to call the question and ask for a roll call so the public will know exactly. You all know where I am, where Council Filio is. Everyone else stand up, because this may come back to
Okay, no objection
Remind
to
you.
calling the question. We will have a roll call vote. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Lake?
No.
Counselor Remy?
No.
Counselor Johnson?
No.
Counselor Giacomo?
Nope.
Counselor Filio?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
No.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
No.
Counselor Roberts?
No.
Counselor Omerod?
No.
Counselor Chadbourne?
No.
Counselor Workman?
No.
Counselor Greenwald?
absolutely yes.
Counselor Bosley?
No.
Counselor Powers?
No.
All right, 3 in favor. The amendment does not pass. So we're open to other amendments if anyone would like to propose something. Okay. Counselor Jones.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to talk a little bit about the bike path. Sometimes people come to us, they ask for sidewalks. I know Jordan Road, if the people up there asked for 4 blocks of sidewalk, they would be told, well, what's it connect to? There's nothing there. There's nothing on either end for it to connect to. And we should take that same look at bicycle lanes. There's nothing there for them to connect to. Where are they going? Now, 27 years ago, there was a group that came to the city and said, we would like to build a trail system throughout the city. They were told by the city, show me the money, go out and raise the money, and we'll build the trail system. They did. $1.5 million later, there's a beautiful trail system out there. The people that wanted the skate park, they wanted a skate park, we told them, show us the money. They did. The bike park, show us the money. They did. The golf disc park, show us the money. They did. Dog park, show us the money. They did. Nobody's showing us the money for these trails, for these bike lanes down there. It's just something, it's a want that somebody wants, and that's all it is. I have a proposal that would help us. I know people think that, well, this would help when you're applying for grants and so on. And I would propose that we had a trail that goes out to all parts of the city and meets right in the middle of the city. Anybody could come to the middle of the city from any part of the town on a safe, lit trail. You could come right there to the center, and you could park your bike, and you're within 2 blocks within a walkable city of going anywhere. You think we could do that? Oh, that's right, we did. It's there already. Why would we need those paths when we already have? We're the only city I know of that has a bike path that comes right from all points of the city right into the center of the city. I think that's remarkable, and that would help us in any grants we're applying for. Now, if you've seen what these bike paths look like in other cities, first of all, they're beautiful when they go down. After a couple of years, look at the ones down in Brattleboro. They get skid marks, they get cracks, they start shaving away. The city of Madison, Wisconsin found that the road salt was deteriorating their bike lanes, so they had to switch to a much higher priced road salt, not salt, it was a phosphate base, de-icer, because they were ruining that. You can't just repaint these things, they have to be re-rolled and recompressed. It's not just a matter of fixing. After a couple of years, it's just gonna look ugly. And another factor of that is, I know in Brattleboro, people on motorcycles are using that path all the time. Springfield, Massachusetts, tried to promote biking downtown. And what happened is they started getting swarms and swarms of motorbikes, where they had to create an ordinance where gas stations can't sell gas to motorbikes anymore within the city of Springfield. So these are a lot of the problems that we have to anticipate. So I would make a motion that we remove the bike lanes from the model.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Counselor Jones to amend, a second by Counselor Filio. Further discussion? Counselor Madison?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to correct Counselor Jones. His statement that Springfield, Massachusetts has an ordinance that would ban selling gasoline to motorcycles is false. It would ban gasoline to non-roadworthy dirt bikes, so motorcycles.
That's correct.
Still buy. Just want to correct that.
That is correct.
Falsehood.
Okay. Counselor Ormerod?
Thank you, Mayor Hansel. I just want to be perfectly clear what the hybrid plan says and what it enables. I don't understand some of what I've heard about bike lanes and vehicles being driven on and repaved. Because these bike lanes that are being enabled, please listen very carefully. These bike lanes that we are enabling are raised. They're not in the street. It's not things painted on the street that gets run over and sandblasted. These are raised at the level of the sidewalk. So what the proposal is actually is an extra 5 feet or 4 feet on the sidewalk side where the bike lines would go. We lose nothing by trying to make the bike lanes work. If they don't work and we want more planter boxes or more trees or anything else that's going to make our downtown more vibrant, then we lose nothing by adapting the hybrid plan. It enables the most vulnerability, the most variability from what we want to do. Again, the bike lanes proposed are not in the street. They're raised above as an extension to the sidewalk.
Anybody else on the amendment? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote on the amendment? All those in favor? I called the question. So all those in favor
Of the amendment.
of the amendment, yep. Opposed?
Please keep your hands up.
$12? 11 opposed. The motion does not carry. Further amendments, we're back to the main motion. Counselor Giacomo.
Thank you, Your Honor. As most of you know from the last meeting, I was not in favor of the multi-lane hybrid option. I'm not sure exactly what this is hybridizing. I'm not sure exactly, it seems, I think this is something that Councilor Filio just mentioned about, it seems that people are getting tired. And this was proclaimed as a compromise. And I don't really see it doing a ton of compromising, especially with people trying to remove the bike lanes. Now, it really doesn't seem like much of a compromise. It's literally what one side wanted the whole time. What I'm looking at, and this is something I've been looking at from the very beginning, and I've said ad nauseum, I'm looking at environmental impact. Councilor Chadbourne mentioned global warming. We're worried about 60 trees we're fighting about here. 60 trees. The impact of idling at an intersection stoplight. Did some fun math for you all. The difference in delay between the model for the roundabout option or a non-signalized intersection, doesn't have to be the small roundabout, a non-signalized versus signalized, we're looking at 69.7 tons of CO2 per year. That's the difference between signalized and non-signalized intersection at Central Square. That is 2,800 trees per year. 2,800 trees per year. We're fighting over the difference between 60 and 48 trees on downtown. We're worried about global warming. How about let's look about the actual causes of this? The idling, the CO2 creation. We had some proposals that had a lot of green space added, but those weren't the ones that went forward. Instead, we got a multi-lane hybrid option that is really just a lot of asphalt. That strip in the middle goes down to next to nothing. We don't get an expansion of Central Square. We're getting rid of more green space with this option than I think any of the proposals. So it seems wild to me that this is seen as a compromise. As far as I'm concerned, the only compromise that this is doing is compromising Keane's future. So with that, I would like to amend the motion to be a multi-lane option with non-signalized Central Square intersection.
Second. All right, we have a motion from Counselor Giacomo, second by Counselor Remy. You want to continue?
Yeah, if I may, just briefly. And what this means, though, is we are not tied into specifically the small roundabout option that was proposed by Stantec. We had a couple of very interesting ideas proposed to us by several constituents, some of them with backgrounds in traffic engineering. Some really interesting options that have ways of taking out the intersection lightage down there for the signals and turning it into a smooth flow that doesn't actually connect Central Square to the head of the square, if people are worried about that aspect. There are ways of doing this with improving the traffic flow, getting rid of the environmental nightmare that is idling. And I think it also leaves it open so we can still explore different options. I'm looking for an option that does not have a signal downtown one way or the other, though.
Okay, Councilor Lake.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm actually quite in support of the motion from the counselor. I was opposed originally to the smaller roundabout, but the idea that we could keep it open to potentially doing the larger roundabout, as you all may be aware, I've certainly brought that up in every public meeting we've had so far. So I certainly will be supporting this. I think it's definitely an opportunity for us to get some better traffic flow downtown while not sacrificing anything.
Okay, Councilor Williams.
I support this as well. I like the large roundabout idea. I think when we have a large roundabout, the signal becomes redundant. So why not, let's give it a try. Maybe we'll end up deciding to add the signal back, but I think we should at least, go forward in mind that we don't have to have that signal there, because I think it really unplug some serious traffic issues we have if it was just a roundabout or just a signal.
Okay, Councilor Greenwald.
Okay, so now we're all traffic engineers, and we're designing something new. We don't even have any pictures of this one to criticize. I think it's a great idea. However, we've had so many plans brought forth, and this is just another one. I'm not opposed to the, I'm on. I'm not opposed to the concept, but I think we're a little further down the road than this. And, please, if you want to go back and start redesigning the whole thing again, let's waste another year. No, vote anything you want at this point, because I really think that we're all just getting so sick of the whole thing that we just want to vote something. But, Mike, I like the idea, but where was this diagram? Where was the analysis or something? Why didn't we ever see this before? So, no, I can't support it. I don't know. I can't reconsider my motion. I'll let that die, but no.
All right, Councilor Jones.
Thank you. I just want to ask a question. I guess I can ask staff or Councilor Giacomo. The no signals, would that cause either minimizing or making the square, not the square, the circle, bigger? Would your plan call for taking away from Central Square?
Yeah, through the chair, of course.
I'm asking, yeah.
The answer is, as Mitch stated, I am not a traffic engineer. I'm not proposing this design. What I'm proposing is that any design that we do move forward with does not have a signal at the Central Square intersection. So I'm not dictating a specific design with this, but rather we have been proposed with a couple. Some of them that the actual analysis was done on for delay times, which, by the way, the multi-lane hybrid model did not have this analysis actually done on it. This came out of left field at the last meeting. So we don't have this analysis on the multi-lane hybrid. We just know that it's going to have the similar delays to the intersections. So no, I do not have, this is not something that I have the skills or training to design myself.
Yeah, and it's important to note, just for the public's benefit as well, right now, this is a concept plan, and the plan is all, or the way we intend to move forward is agree on this kind of concept. It allows the staff to go out, seek funding for the concept, do some more thought around the details, and then bring it down to that ground grass level that I think everybody wants to get to. And there may be some adjustments made there and things like that. And the intention is always to bring that level of detail back to the council once that's done. So that's sort of where we're at, just so everybody stays there, hopefully. Councilor Mosley.
So, again, through the chair, I'd like to ask a couple of questions about this potential new design. One of the things that we talked about ad nauseum with whether or not to do a small roundabout or a lighted intersection was the effects that the lighted intersection has on our emergency response vehicles and how they use the square currently. So in this design, if I'm understanding correctly, what you're asking for is to keep the multi-lane hybrid sort of essence, so you would still go around the common, but to just shut the lights off. I think that if there was a component of that where the light was still present and the whole thing could be stopped in order to allow for emergency vehicles to exit Washington Street, that might be potentially an interesting idea. I think that that's also maybe something that if we're going to have to put the lighting system in anyway to stop all of that traffic, that we could look at sampling what works. The lighting system is going to have to go in, so let's shut it off and see what happens and what the...
Again, I think that's getting down to a level of design detail that's not where we're at right now. My understanding from Councilor Giacomo's amendment is to just pursue an opportunity that has a non-signalized intersection
So there would
at
be
Central
no
Square.
lights to be able to stop traffic for emergency vehicles.
That's my understanding of the amendment, is to pursue an option that is a non-signalized intersection at Central Square. That's where we're at. I know you want to be down here, but we're up here. All right, Councilor Workman.
Thank you, Your Honor. My biggest criticism of Councilor Giacomo's proposal is pedestrian safety, crossing the roundabout rotary without any without any lights. You're in essence just building that dragway again for people to just whip around the roundabout, the circle we have now at the square. Even if we put RFD flashing lights, it would not give pedestrians the sense of safety that I heard so many people feel and want. With the hybrid model, we're proposing, or one of the things I know I had proposed previously, is smart, intuitive lighting, so that we are trying to reduce emissions and idling whenever possible. Many times in the evening, our Main Street does shut down pretty early. You're hard pressed if you want dinner past 9 o'clock on Main Street. There's many times that the lights are red and there's no traffic coming in an opposite direction. So again, we can have increased pedestrian safety with smart, intuitive lighting systems. So I'm not in favor of this proposal. Thank you.
Okay, yes, Councilor Lake?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to address a couple of the comments, Councilor Bosley, I actually brought up that exact proposal a few meetings ago about keeping some emergency lights, but keeping the intersection functionally without the green, yellow, red for the standard flow of traffic. So 100% on board with keeping some sort of emergency piece there. And also on the crosswalk piece, we do already have some crosswalks that don't utilize the stoplights. The one in front of the church, the one at Washington Street, they seem to function not the best, but they do function. If we are going, I think generally with the hybrid design, there are a little bit of sidewalk creep in, I believe, on the square. So those crosswalks would actually be shorter. So there would be some improvements with the current design potentially, but again, that gets a little bit more into some of the design there. So again, highly in favor of keeping some of, if we do decide that we would need some emergency lights, but to get rid of the red, yellow, green for standard traffic.
Councilor Ormerod.
Thank you, Mayor Hansel, and Council, for my third and not my final apparition this evening. I'm very intrigued by the idea of minimal or no traffic lights to make it truly a circle. That's actually what most GPSs will tell you it is if you try to navigate by that, but it's not. You think you're coming up to a circle, and you're coming up to a series of combined of stop signs in the middle of this traffic circle and stoplights. So I believe we would start with the no traffic signals. Now, contrast that to what we have today from the pedestrian's point of view. Right now, if you enter the area where there's 7 different roads coming into them, count them, you push the button, the walk button, and you wait for however long, and all the traffic lights stop in the whole square. What do you think that does to your carbon footprint? What do you think that does to the agitation of your drivers? What do you think that does to the agitation of other people having to wait? So that's what we have right now. So I do support a central square around that with no traffic lights. But of course, you could have warning flashing lights where the pedestrians need to cross if they can. But that's not a traffic light, is what I'm assuming. And if my assumptions are correct, I can support this amendment.
Okay, anyone else on the amendment? Yes, Councilor Williams, and then I'll give Councilor Giacomo the last word.
Yeah, I just want to put in a word for elevated crosswalks that are, a few inches above the surface, which slow the cars down because it's like a speed bump, and also bring the person walking across into a place where they have a lot more visibility. I think by judicious use of elevated crosswalks, we can avoid the speedway situation.
All right, Councilor Giacomo.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to address a couple of the questions, not that I have, again, the detailed answers that I'm sure many people want. Again, I am not specifically saying it's going to be exactly like it is now, just rip the lights out. Again, we've got some very detailed plans from our constituents. If you've been reading all the emails that we've been getting, the same constituents sent us this plan about 2-3 times, and it's very interesting when you start digging into specifically the Central Square design. It's one idea that has no signalized intersection there. As far as the fire trucks, they go through roundabouts every single day. Those are not signalized. They know how to manage a non-signalized intersection. This is not something that's new for them. And as far as pedestrians, all the data suggests that roundabouts are safer for pedestrians. They're safer for vehicles than a signalized intersection because of the speed people coming into it is less. So you have far, far fewer fatalities and far fewer serious injuries in those because people have to be more alert. And that's kind of the two items that I had heard. So again, not proposing one specific design. I'm still happy with the little roundabout. I liked it a lot. So I am leaving that out there as well. But as a true interesting compromise where we don't connect to the church, but still keep the natural roundabout that we potentially could have here, leaving multiple options on the table, just getting rid of signals in whatever option we choose.
All right.
Quick one.
All right, quick one.
Bear in mind, we're talking about smart signals, a whole new system. So whatever we get is going to be way better than what we have. My concern is for the hundreds of bicycles that are going to be circling downtown now. They need the signals. They're just going to get squashed in the roundabout otherwise.
Okay. Hopefully we don't pick a plan with any squashing. Yes, Councilor Johnson.
Thank you. I'd like to call the question.
I
think we're getting to that point. Okay.
Oh, we're ready to vote. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed?
Keep your hands up, please.
8 opposed. The
Hands
amendment
up,
fails.
Please.
Yeah, opposed. Just one hand. 8 opposed. I'm awaiting my confirmation.
I'm getting seven. Somebody's missing. Counselor Jones. Yep, it's Counselor Jones. Thank you.
8 opposed. The amendment fails. Back to the main deal. Option C. Any further discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? This is on the main motion. The main motion, option C, the one that was advanced at the last council meeting. To adopt. All right? All good. All those in favor? Opposed?
Hands up, please.
Welcome to the club.
4 opposed.
Keep your hands up, please.
Keep it up again, I want to picture this.
I'm missing one. Was there other?
There was one over here. Mitch, right?
You're
4 opposed, so it passes. There we go. Back to the regular agenda.
Just beginning.
All right. We've still got work to do here tonight. Thank you. Number 3.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to a Department of Justice Assistance Grant. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to co-apply with the County of Cheshire and to accept and expend the U.S. Department of Justice FY23 JAG in the amount allocated to the city of $5,525.
Councilor Powers for a motion, Councilor Remy for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second. We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Remy. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Your Honor. Captain Tenney from the Police Department came to the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee to discuss an annual grant application that's made between the city and the county, and essentially what that amount of money from the Department of Justice, the Federal Department of Justice, is about $11,000, and it's for communication systems for both departments to use in the field in addition to radios, principally your cell phone, which happens to be a camera and a recorder, et cetera. It's become very useful for officers in the field, gets a lot of work done. So this is a great grant, and I hope it will continue. The Finance Committee voted unanimously to recommend that the manager be authorized to accept it. We ask you to do the same.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 4.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to acceptance of a donation for the dog park. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to accept a donation of $40,000 for the purpose of building a dog park in Wheelock Park.
Councilor Powers for a motion, Councilor Remy for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second. Motion by Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Remy. Councilor Powers.
Mr. Bohannon from Parks, Recreation, and Facilities joined us the other night at Finance with a lot of good news. This is the first of several grants and awards of money that's come to the city, $40,000 for the purpose of building the dog park in Wheelock Park. This money has come to us through a number of sources. In addition, there's been some fundraising that's been going on for quite some time, so that the project is moving forward with Du Bois and King doing the study of that particular area where it's been selected for the dog park. Already, some of the services that need to be done for removal of some of the old equipment that's out there has been done by volunteers. We've got some firms locally that have devoted some time to it. They're going to take away some of the costs there, and then the removal of the pavilion has been left out of the process right now, the scope of work. So this is a real jump start to the project. Parks and Rec feels that the work will begin in early fall, and the Finance Committee recommends that the manager be authorized to carry this out. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 5.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to a CDFA grant for the Brian A. Manson Recreation Center project. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to accept, execute, and expend a Community Development Finance Authority grant award for $801,250,000 for the Brian A. Mattson Recreation Center project.
Looking to Council Powers for the motion. Council Remy for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second. We have a motion from Council Powers, seconded by Council Remy. Council Powers.
Thank you, Your Honor. This again was another fabulous project that was brought forward last week. $801,000 for work at the recreation facility. Probably one of the most used buildings in the city. There's many activities go on up there. It was designed and built from an old armory, an old jail, all pieced together, most principally under the leadership of Brian Mattson, who we've had the honor of naming the building after. Now, we've got the honor of renovating it to make it even better to serve the public. There's been a project on the books for a number of years to do this work, but we really haven't had the funding available. Some work has been done, some modifications have been made because there wasn't any money. But this project now, this money comes forward and gives them the opportunity to do the kinds of work that need to be done. The facility's windows, the heating, insulation. Most importantly, there's going to be a sloped sidewalk from the front of the building down to the monument. It's missing, and it's pretty tough for people to get around. So this is a great move. So we voted unanimously to recommend that the manager be authorized to accept. We ask you to do the same.
Thank you. Any discussion? Yes, Councilor Omeriad.
Thank you. I'm in support of this motion. I just want to make sure that it gets recorded as the Brian A. Mattson Recreation Center project and not how it's currently noted.
All right, so noted. Further discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 6.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to an acceptance of an Invest New Hampshire grant related to the demolition of property at 160 Water Street. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to accept, execute, and expend an Invest New Hampshire Municipal Demolition Grant award for $130,000 for property located at 160 Water Street.
So I understand there was an error in the memo, and because this motion is to expend funds, I'm going to ask that after the main motion that Councilor Powers offer up a motion to amend the committee report. Councilor Powers, second by Councilor Remy, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second. We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Remy. Councilor Powers.
Your Honor, I propose that we amend this to change the amount of money of the award from the stated $130,000 to $117,895.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers to amend, seconded by Councilor Filio. Councilor Powers.
So essentially what happened when the reports were being sent down here, amongst all the other thousands of dollars coming in, we were looking for a little more. Just kidding. A little mistake there, but we'll still take this amount of money. So if we get that amended in it, then we'll discuss the whole project.
Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote on the amendment? All those in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this is from Invest New Hampshire Municipal Demonstration Grant Program. And this is for work we're going to do at 160 Water Street, formerly known as Findings, adjacent to the Russell Park and Carpenter Street. So now we're going to have pretty much that whole corner involved in city activity, all for the citizens. We're going to use it almost 3 or 4 seasons out of the year, because this funding now gives us the money to take down the old Findings building and then to begin to lay out actually on ground and contiguous with the park, the skate park. So it'll be a little bit of swap of what the land is now, where it looks to be a parking lot, will be a part of the skate park and parking and adjacent to it, et cetera. But that whole corner within 6 months is going to look pretty darn nice on a small investment on our part, because we swapped this land with another piece of land downtown with an investor. So it's all working out to the best of the city. So Finance Committee recommended unanimously that the city manager be authorized to accept this grant. We hope the council will do the same, and they're ready to get to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Number 7.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to a request to use previously approved community funding for the Keene Swamp Bats fireworks. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the communication submitted by the Keene Swamp Bats of June 15th requesting an additional fireworks discharge in July be reported out as informational. Further, that the Swamp Bats be authorized to reschedule their Independence Eve community-funded event to occur on Friday, July 28th on Alumni Field, subject to the same conditions as the previous authorization. The petitioner agrees to absorb the cost of any city services over and above any amount of city funding allocated in the community events budget for the display, and said payment shall be made within 30 days of date of invoicing.
Thank you. Council Powers, Council Remy.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second. We have a motion from Council Powers, seconded by Council Remy. Council Powers.
Thank you, Your Honor. The reason for this is another one of those rainy days we had in the valley here around the 4th of July. So prudence prevailed and they decided to postpone. Unfortunately, there were so many other activities that has to be pushed out to the end of the month, which is almost here. So July 28th, rain or shine this time, because unfortunately that baseball season's running out pretty fast. So we voted unanimously in the committee, and I hope the council will do the same.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That one is unanimous. Number 8.
And we have an informational report from the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee relative to a request for a reimbursement of the speaking fee for the Jeff Speck visit.
This will be filed as informational. Number 9.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to airport land leases for hangar development. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate Keene Airport land leases with potential hangar developers consistent with the airport land leasing policy.
Council Powers for motion. Council Remy for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second. We have motion from Council Powers, seconded by Council Remy. Council Powers.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were joined with the airport director that once again let us know that there are folks interested in doing some development down at the airport, particularly some hangars. And our process is a little bit lengthy, so after review and after talking with several firms in the past and then not coming together, they're recommending that the city council here authorizes the city manager to negotiate potential leases with the real bona fide interested party. And all of this would be in accordance with our airport land leasing policy. And once it's established and we're sure that this is going to be a real lease, then it'll come back to city council to approve. In the past, it's had to come first to negotiate and then didn't come together, so that's timely. And then an opportunity comes up, we want to be able to move as fast as possible. Committee agreed, voted unanimously, and I hope you do the same.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Number 10.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report, this one dealing with a change order for the Wells Street parking structure. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate and execute change order number 1 with Pierce Property Services to add T-joint sealant replacement to the Wells Street parking structure repair project for an amount not to exceed $44,550, and this brings the revised contract total to $431,514.
Council Powers for motion. Council Remy for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second. We have a motion from Council Powers, seconded by Council Remy. Council Powers.
So for those of you who know, there's a project going on in Wells Street parking garage. It's sort of our every 10-year event. And we've heard that question before, why are we doing this? Because we live in New England, the weather being which it is, gives our surfaces a lot of difficulty. However, this one's in much better shape than some of the others have been. As they began the work that was designed, they discovered that there's a little more subsurface issue that needs to be addressed. It's open, it's ready to go. They've redesigned to put a project together. Of course, there's additional material and additional time, which means that the project will be going up by $44,550. That amount of money is within the scope of the project. The money's available in the parking fund, and they're ready to move forward. Committee voted unanimously. We hope you do the same, and I'm sure they'll be out there tomorrow getting prepared to be able to do that work. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is also unanimous. Number 11.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to an agreement for contracted ambulance service with the town of Sullivan. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the City Council authorize the city manager to do all things necessary to execute an agreement for contract ambulance service with the town of Sullivan.
Council Powers for motion, Council Remy for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second. We have a motion from Council Powers, seconded by Council Remy. Council Powers.
Thank you, Your Honor. This would be a standard agreement for contracted ambulance services, and in this case, it'll be with the town of Sullivan, our neighbor right up here, who has been serviced in the past several years by Deluzio. And since Deluzio has gone out of business, the town of Sullivan has come back to us and asked if we would be interested and able to do this particular contract again, as we have in the past. And it's been recommended by the fire chief that we are capable of doing it, and we can get this agreement put together. So we'd like the council to authorize the manager to negotiate and put that contract together so they can get started as soon as possible. Thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That one is unanimous. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have just one comment tonight. The Parks and Rec Department, Andy Bohannon and his team have started the process of considering design options for Robin Hood Park. And so that's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's a project that is out a few years, but I encourage members of the public to participate in those conversations. Let us know your ideas, let us know your concerns. We did have a good turnout at the first meeting, and so we're grateful for that, and we look forward to further public involvement in that project.
All right, thank you very much. City Officer and Department reports, number 1.
This is a memorandum from the Finance Director Treasurer relative to acceptance of donations for the Juneteenth and the International Festival, and it's recommending that the council accept donations in the amount of $5,900, and the manager be authorized to use each donation in the manner specified by the donor.
Council Powers for a motion. Council Remy for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second. We have a motion from Council Powers, seconded by Council Remy. Council Powers.
$5,900 going to go towards the Human Rights Committee events for the Juneteenth and International Festival. Coming in different fashions. Local burgers pledge $5 for each burger. Anybody hungry? They're still open. It's not 9 o'clock. That amounts to $500. Badger Balm, also through their employees, donated $200 each through the there's a bunch of them here, so we got to cultural diversity of the city of Keats process will also benefit. Sasasimo Lumber Company has donated $500. CNS Wholesale Grocers and Savings Bank Walpole $1,000 each. And the International Festival is also the recipient of a generous anonymous donation in the amount of $2,500. $5,900 of generosity coming to the scene of many events in the city of Keene, all for the people that live and work here and will enjoy a little bit of free time through these various events. Thank you.
Any discussion? Yes, Council Workman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to extend a personal thanks to all the donors. As a counselor who sits on the Human Rights Committee, I also was part of the Juneteenth planning event, And not only are these events fun, but they are educational. They have an educational component to them. So I just want to, again, extend my appreciation and thanks to the donors.
All right, and free events, thanks to these donors. Any further discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. So board and commission reports, number 1.
This is a report on behalf of the Joint Planning Board, Planning Licenses and Development Committee. It's relative to a petition for a zoning map change for the old Walpole Road. This would be rural to low density. And the planning board did find the ordinance consistent with the comprehensive master plan, and the planning licenses and development side of that joint committee recommended that the mayor set a public hearing.
And I will set a public hearing for September 7th at 7 p.m. We have one more time item, more time will be granted, and that brings us to ordinances for first reading, number 1.
Another is change to the zoning map, this one dealing with property at 0 Ashwillet Street, high density to commerce, and it is a communication from Attorney Thomas Hanna on behalf of JRR Properties LLC and the Monadnock Conservancy.
This will be referred to the Planning Licenses and Development Committee and the Planning Board, the joint. Which brings us to resolutions, number 1.
And we have a memorandum from the Public Works Director as well as the Assistant Public Works Operations Manager, and it is relative to Resolution R 2023-31, which reads, Resolution R 2023-31, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds from the sewer fund unassigned fund balance for the Martel Court Pump Station bypass.
And this will be referred to the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee. That concludes our business for tonight. I want to wish you all a really healthy break, and we'll see you at the end of August. I want to thank those from the public in attendance tonight for their time and attention. We stand adjourned.